Hi, friends. Welcome back to Just Call Me Viv. I'm still sick, but I had something in my heart that I wanted to share before I continue this series with you on our second act mindset or dating as we get older. After our first loves, heartbreaks, etc. So I want you to pull up a chair, get some coffee or tea, and just imagine us sitting together, maybe huddled up under a blanket, having one of those honest conversations that go a little deeper. And I thought I'd share a little bit more. Um, Today, I want to talk about endings and why, for many of us, many of you out there, it may feel hard to go back into the dating pool. Um, and not every ending is this neat little ending with a bow on it. Um, and not every ending is where both people agree to part, to go their separate ways. Um, and those that sting, those endings that feel really hard, the ones that confuse you, and leave you maybe lying awake at night wondering, why does it hurt so much, right? Um, and I've been sitting on one of those endings, and I want to share that with you, not because it's easy, but because I think some of you might be walking through something familiar. And I think I started the podcast too, as a way to motivate and encourage myself to move forward, because this ending felt really hard. Um, and as I mentioned, I jumped into online dating right after turning 50 this spring, and I went on a few dates. Nothing really panned out. And then I met him. He was someone that I matched with on Hinge, and initially I kept on skipping over his profile because he was a bit younger. There was a bit of an age gap. And then I said his profile was really interesting to me. He was looking for a long-term relationship. He was a parent. He didn't want any more children. I didn't want any more children, so I sent him a rose and we connected. And from the moment we connected, it was nonstop conversation and it was instant. And I think it was just so strong and intense, that it just evolved and grew from there. And within 2 days, he asked for exclusivity, and I was fine with that. I feel like dating multiple people or talking to multiple people can get confusing, but if he was all in getting to know me and wanting to get to know me, I was all in. So I agreed to exclusivity. So he came in strong, and he talked about commitment and devotion, and our first date was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like magical. I felt like I was floating on a cloud. It was more than I had expected. This wasn't like rainbows and unicorns and balloons, right? But it was just the perfect first date. The conversation was easy, and he was so affectionate, and he displayed affection in public, and I don't know if I had been starved of affection for so long that it felt so good, but it was just such a wonderful first date. And the forehead kisses and just really the tenderness that he displayed it just felt so magical. Anyhow, our relationship progressed, and he eventually, talked about me meeting his mother. He talked about how I could be his forever person, and he talked about me to his friends. And then he asked to meet my child, and I was a bit hesitant about that. But when a man is telling you, making plans with you about the future, he calls you after work and you talk and you connect in a way, you believe those things. There's no reason why to doubt his words. And when he looks you in the eye and he asks for commitment, you lean in and you trust him and you start to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could possibly be something real. And I did. And I was also ignoring some red flags. And I think part of it is because I like the person who he was, or at least the version of himself that he was presenting to me. A hardworking man, a girl dad. He wore a girl dad t-shirt on our second date. Just really down to earth. And I love those things about him. I really appreciated, I guess, his work ethic and who he is as a person, at least what I believed him to be. So I started to care about this person, not just like the fairy tales that we invent in our head, but the quiet everyday moments that come when, someone says, I'm here for you, they're showing up for you, they say good morning, they say good night, and I really wanted to believe him. And here's the part that I don't want to say that I'm not proud of, but that I wish that I had paused, were the red flags. The little moments that didn't add up, things that maybe I didn't want to see too clearly because I didn't want to lose that feeling. I didn't want to lose him. Or maybe I didn't want to lose the idea of him, the comfort of having someone, the warmth of being chosen. So I told myself, maybe I can work with this. Maybe I can look past this. And first it came a lot of, canceled plans. And then inconsistencies in his stories. I don't want to say lies. I don't want to villainize him, but just things that weren't truthful. And the truth has a way of showing up. And the truth was that he told me he would never talk to two women at the same time. And he was talking to other women, multiple women, not just one woman, like multiple women. So, and while he was asking me for exclusivity and he was stepping into my life in the ways that should have meant something, he met my child. He came to my home. He was offering the same words to other women, and that's the part that cut the deepest, because he took that choice away from me. If he had been honest from the beginning, and if he had said, I'm not ready to commit, and maybe I want to see multiple people, then I could have decided for myself whether to stay or walk away. But he wasn't honest, and that betrayal, that mismatch between words and actions, is its own kind of heartbreak. And that brings me back to the question, maybe for some of you, you're in the same position, why does this ending hurt so much? And here's what I've been learning or trying to process. And I'm still sad. I'm still really sad about it. I think first it hurts because I cared. I allowed myself to care for this person, even if it wasn't perfect. Even if his love, and I say love in a general sense, I'm talking about care. I don't think either one of us were in love, but I think I cared about him. Even if his love didn't match his promises, my feelings for him were real. I wore my heart on my sleeve, and I don't regret that. I think dating requires some level of vulnerability and risk taking, and if someone is telling you and asking you like to be open, to be in this with me, and you join them, you have no other choice but to believe that. So my feelings were real, and just because his actions were small doesn't mean that the care that I offered was. And Second, it hurts because I wasn't only, and I'm not only grieving him. I think that I was grieving the idea of him, and I still am to a certain extent. The story that I thought that I was in, the future that I started to picture. Sometimes the loss of a dream is even sharper than the loss of the person. You know, we were making plans to travel together. We were looking at Airbnbs. He was thinking about using his timeshare. We were making plans. And third, it hurts because I overlooked the red flags. I quieted my own intuition to hold on to him, and admitting that to myself, that I stayed longer in the idea than in the truth, has been its own grief. And I ended it, and I questioned myself, did I make the wrong choice? And I apologized to him, and then I realized I'm making myself small again, overlooking the things. Like, he sent me a text that he meant to send to another woman, and then I got these screenshots. I don't know if they were from him or from someone he was seeing, about the things he was saying and doing with these other women. Anyhow, let me pause here and ask you, have you ever done that? Have you ever seen the signs but chosen to believe the words instead? Have you ever wanted the connection more than the reality of what the person is showing you? And if you have, I want you to know you're not alone, and you're not weak for hoping. You're not foolish for believing someone. You're human. And maybe like me, you're someone who loves deeply, who opens her heart fully. And when you love that way, endings don't just sting, they leave marks. But here's the other side of it. Walking away was strength, because I could have stayed silent. I could have ignored the red flags, looked the other way and pretend not to know. That might have kept him in my life a little longer, but at the cost of my voice, at my expense, my truth, and maybe even my peace. And I realized I don't want that. I don't want to shrink myself just to keep someone who isn't really keeping me. Because the reality is, he wasn't keeping me. The hurt reminds me that I cared, but the act of walking away reminds me I also care about myself, and I chose myself. And friends, that's what I want you to hold on to if you're in a similar place. Silence is an answer. Half effort is an answer. Someone who checks in only when you reach out is giving you their answer. And as hard as it is to accept, those answers are clear. We deserve more. We deserve love that doesn't make us guess, love that follows through, love that doesn't ask for exclusivity while entertaining other options, love that doesn't take away our choice but instead honors us honesty. So yes, it hurts. It hurts because I gave my heart openly. It hurts because I saw the possibility of love and I wanted it so badly, but I also know this ending isn't the end of me. It's not the end of my hope. It's not the end of my story. It's the opening of space, space for someone who won't just ask for devotion, but will give it back. Space for someone who doesn't make me overlook red flags, but instead makes me feel safe, certain, and steady. And if you're grieving an ending right now, let this be your reminder. It hurts because love was real. The care that you offered that person was real. And that love or care deserves to land somewhere real in return, to someone who can actually hold it. I'll leave you with this affirmation. Maybe repeat it with me or save it for later. It's okay. I honor the love I gave. I release the love that wasn't returned. And I trust that the right love will find me because I'm worthy of it. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale and exhale. It hurts, yes, but we're healing, and every time we choose truth over an illusion, Every time we choose ourselves over half effort, we grow stronger. Thank you for sitting with me today, for letting me share my story. If this resonated with you, send it to a friend who might need to hear this too. And as always, take care of your heart. It deserves it. If you liked today's podcast, please like and subscribe and maybe share with a friend. Thank you for sitting with me today. Until the next time.